So we are just above the middle of the second section on page Kuf Lamed Daled. We can find the line that begins with the word bozeh. And we're discussing now the from Hislapshus for a long time. And to fully recognize its significance and its effect, the Rebbe says we have to go to seeing how Ruchnische Koiches are mislavish one and the other. Particularly, what we're discussing now, is Ashpo's sechel from mashpia. This mashpia is mashpia sechel. And we say that this hashpah of the mashpia is that he's giving okay, we'll go right inside. He's not giving him a supposition, a possibility, a purview. He's giving him the way his sechel sees things. The reality of his sechel. But within that level, he's giving him a ha'orah of this. So how is it? It's a ha'orah or it is the reality. This is a very unique kind of a relationship. Pardon me, we're not talking really. I said I better make a bracha right away, otherwise you have fakers that I make a bracha now. Yeah, how do these things come together? He says it's a ha'orah. But in the realm of ha'orah, he is giving him what's called the mahus of the ha'orah. What does that mean? The mahus of the ha'orah, as we discussed yesterday, means, yes, ha'orah means how the mashpia finally recognized and understood the Inyan. But the mashpia comes to the point where he fully understands his own thinking. He does not only understand and know the conclusion of his thought, but he sees in this the basis of this thought, how it is real. Let us step away for a moment. I always feel that there's missing something. The entire reality of existence is a divine creation. It does not have a basis on its own. The justification and the overall recognition of a reality is first and foremost recognizing that there is a creator, a first being, like the Rambam describes it. When we begin to, if we should begin, to try to identify an existence on its own basis, based on its own parameters, we get lost. And we're completely misled. And we can go indefinitely and climb into the abyss. We always say that the highest koyach by us is chokhmah. But, as we point out all the time, there is higher than chokhmah. What is chokhmah as opposed to that which is higher than chokhmah? Chokhmah is the highest level where we know that I understand something, that I know something. But my presence is recognized. Oh, I understand, I see it. But this I presence is a false presence. This I presence is a divine presence. Thus, the primary sense of existence, of observing, of understanding, recognizing anything is from a divine perspective rather than from a worldly perspective. This is the primary sense of reality. There is a creator, like Rambam says. There is a creator. That is what justifies, what opens up the entire purview of other other things. If we begin to, this is people were asking, how come we are become confused? Because there's a human tendency for some reason to identify things on the basis of his own reality, of his own presence. And that is a misguided approach, because his own reality is not real.
What's the meaning of his own reality is not real?
His own reality does not have a basis for being.
Well, he too is a creation. He was made.
Excuse me?
He also is a creation. He was made. He had a breast. He has a name.
You come to my home. Give me a very simple illustration. You come to my home, and I serve you lunch. You eat the lunch. You finish. There's nothing left on the table. Now it's yours. It's in your belly. Does it now cease to have been my lunch, my giving to you? You ate lunch, and it's in you ate it all by yourself. Is this lunch now completely dissociated from the giver of the lunch?
Right. That's fine, but there's no getting away from the fact that you had a guest, meaning the individual has some reality. I'm just not getting what it means he has no reality or...
No, that's not a reality. I'm giving you a simple example, please. A mashal, I mean, on a limited level. I'm not talking about reality here in the case of the lunch. I'm giving you a mashal to understand what it means that the source follows along with the result. And the result never becomes severed from the source. And as soon as it gets severed from the source, it's a false reality. It's a false result.
Okay. Right. I'm just looking at the main thing we've been saying, which is that the individual's perspective, I, is really based on divine, which is true, but yet the I perspective seems to be completely...
Within a divine...
To remain on this call, press 1.
...context. And if you lose source, if you lose that relationship, then you lose your own existence.
Yes, and to what extent should the I perspective be completely nullified or discounted? Or it too is a limited sphere of reality? It should be
discounted to the extent that it is independent.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Okay.
There is not an independence of primary independence. Yes, I am, but I am fulfilling a mission, and I'm here because of the spirit that was imbued in me. This is what allows me to to understand. That's a primary thing. Sechel is the highest thing, and everything else. Like we spoke yesterday, or the day before, said, you throw the rock. You throw the rock to a target. The target is 10 feet, is 100 feet away from you. How do you relate to this 100 feet? How do you relate to it? There's something that unites you with this 10 feet, with this whole distance. It's not you. And as you pointed out, if you do not relate to it as a reality, then you will not be able to hit the target, ever. And this relationship is not due to your experience, it is due to that which is given to you, which correlates you to the entire reality. Okay. So as we said, we're starting from the line that begins with the word bozeh, second section on page Kuf Lamed Daled, and it is, I think, it's 7 lines from the top. Bozeh. This is what the REBBE says. It's a ha'orah. The sechel that mashpia is giving is a ha'orah. A ha'orah means a reflection of the sechel ha'orah. It is not the essence of the sechel ha'orah. And the proof for that is very simple. As Jehovah said, a kop kamitarubshtel. You cannot make a person understand. I cannot create in him by giving sechel the ability to understand the sechel. That he has to bring from his own resource. If he comes from his own resource, so what are you giving him? You're giving him, you're filling that resource. But only a filling of it. You're not giving him the essence. Nonetheless, and this is the point over here, that even though you only give him a ha'orah of your seichel, but it's called, you're giving him a real thing because you're giving the mahus of the ha'orah. What does that mean, a mahus of the ha'orah? It's a ha'orah. A ha'orah means only a reflection of it. So what is the mahus of the ha'orah? So as we discussed in the last few days, mahus of the ha'orah means it is only a ha'orah. It is only a reflection. But along with the reflection, you're getting that which substantiates this reflection, which gives the reflection a basis. Why is it there? What gives it a means to sustain itself? This means mahus of the ha'orah. So when the Rav is giving seichel to the Talmud, he says he's giving a mahus seichel, because the Rav is not telling him, as we said the other day, he's not telling the Talmud only a strict down conclusion of his thinking. He's giving him the whole spirit behind his thinking, the life force, the reality behind his own thinking. This is what the Talmud ought to focus and get from the Rav. This is why we said that the only way for him to get this reality, he has to be completely dedicated to accept, to take from the hashpah from the Rav. If he's going to limit what he takes from the Rav to that which is the ha'orah, which he can understand on his own, he's not going to get the seichel that the Rav is giving him. It's cancelling out the whole phenomenon of this hashpah seichel.
So what what does it mean that he gets only the ha'ara and not the etzem if he gets the reality?
So we said, this means that a kop can utarufshto. He has his own sechel. And he is able to, okay, here's the answer, the full answer to your question. He has his own sechel. In his own sechel, he recognizes in his own sechel that sechel has a basis of a higher reality than that which sechel identifies. The Talmud does not know it on his own, but this is the reality of his sechel. In other words, we said the other day, sight is chokhmah. And when we see things, we relate to things from a distance, not comparable to touch and hearing, where we actually have an interaction with the thing. And yet, by sight, it remains at a distance, and yet by sight we recognize the reality with much more than any other way. What is that? What enables this? What enables this is the need for chokhmah. That yes, indeed, it is a distance, and I don't feel it, I can't touch it, but I see right away that it has a basis for being. Touch can be an accidental touch. I pass by and I touch the table. What I see has been put, is real. This is the phenomenon of chokhmah. That it understands things not on its own basis, but on the basis of what's being shown to him. And he readily relates to that. He sees right away there's some reality behind that which I see. It's real, way beyond that which I can identify. This is the mahus of the ha'ara. When you see something, you only see the ha'ara, you don't touch it. You're not touching the object. It doesn't affect you. And yet, you're seeing what's called the mahus ha'ara. You're seeing the basis. This is real. Let's take this, let's elaborate on this. I see it. Yeah, it is a very subtle thing, but please, let's follow through. When you see a table over here, along with seeing the table, instantaneously, along with seeing the table, you see the table as a reality, because, and then along with that, you see somebody put it here. And along with this, but immediately it gives you a sense of reality. It is there because somebody put it. Not only somebody put it there for a purpose. Furthermore, you immediately see somebody made this table. You immediately see somebody planned it. Somebody designed it. Even though all you see is a final product. Seeing this final product in this location, you see the entire panorama, the entire reality. You see the mahus of the ha'ara. No idiot comes in, no human being comes into a house and says, what's this thing over here? What's this thing over here? How did it get him? You see, by the way, what this? This is a home, belongs to a human being, and he's the one who furnished it, and he's the one who designed it, and he's the one who ordered everything that's in there. There's a human quality in everything that's in the house. You don't find that out as a separate step. That you see right away. This is a chokhmah. You see it in chokhmah right away on the basis of its source, on the basis of God. This is what the mahus of the ha'ara. The Rav gives the Talmud the mahus of the ha'ara. And this is an incumbent on the Talmud to relate to that rather than to the words and to the structure of what he is teaching him. rather than reconstruct the sechel that the Rav gives him in his own place, in his own perspective. No, I want to see it from the Rav's perspective. That's a makab, that's a Talmud.
That I understand, but I don't understand what's missing that we say that's only a ha'ara, it's not a etzem. That I don't understand.
I explained to you. Etzem means, okay, the Rebbe explains very simply. You give birth to a child. This child is also from you. What's the difference between the sechel that you teach him and what you gave him at birth? Also gave him sechel. Etzem means that you create the whole thing. Over here we say clearly, a kop kemen sharufstel. Because the kop he already has. And if he didn't have the kop, you would not attempt to explain to you. That's when it's a ha'ara. Again, we go start inside with Nebesh's help. The line begins with the word bozer. The bozer refers to that the mahus ha'ora is nishpa bozer. In this transmission of sechel is transmitted, is given. Nishpa is effective, brings to effect the mahus of the ha'ora. The Rav is not giving him, I said before, the final product. He's giving him what the essence that supports it. It's only all its supportive elements. The reality that makes it be. Shaharei. Let's go back to focusing on the word shaharei. I explained the other day. Harei and hine. These words mean behold. What does behold mean? Behold means look at it. Look at it means you know it because you see it, not because of the words that I'm explaining it to you. You're not a stranger to this. You're right there. Sheharei, for behold. Mashpia lei mehu sechel. The mashpia is giving him, is bestowing him a mahus sechel, a reality of sechel, not just a surface of a sechel, but a mahus sechel, a reality of sechel. A sechel that makes sense and justifies itself. Vehu, and this mahus sechel is mimahus sechel shaharab. It is mimahus, it is of, it is a piece of the mahus sechel of the Rav. In Hashpos HaSechel there is a reality given. He's giving a piece of his sechel. A piece of his sechel, Adam ha'ora lev. V'hatalmid, and the Talmid thus mekabel bozeh receives thereby seichel misichli shoharav, the seichel of the seichel of the Rav, not as it is translated by the Talmid, but as it is written by the Rav himself. Let me stop for a moment and attend to a question that we left hanging the other day. We talked about birth, giving birth, which is an etzem. And we says, where do we see that he's giving him an etzem? We see that the child actually has seichel of his own. Why sechel? Well, there are so many other things that come along in birth. Why using sechel as, so to speak, as a catalyst? That say, oh, he's real because he has sechel. I'm going to try my best. I hope that I'll be able to communicate this. But again, a kop kem mit a rupstam. The principle is, whatever qualities a person has, midas, feelings, taste, touch, all of these things are all contained within the human being himself. These things are what confuses us and causes us to misunderstand that a human being is not independent. And the only being is a standalone entity. Everything that he feels is from his own experience. This is that misleads us in identifying what a human being is. This is what leads a person to chas v'sholem focus in and become locked into his own presence, dissociating from the reality. I don't need anything, I'll just have myself. When the father gives birth to a son, his son has all the qualities. The most important one is sechel. Why? Because sechel is that part that connects him and relates him and associates him and defines his reality as part of the big reality, of the divine reality. This is the real gift of life. We can replicate a human being, all kinds of different things. We can do things, make things. But to connect them to the source of things, that is possible only in birth, because you give him the etzem from his instruction. That is reflected in the sechel, because sechel is that faculty, that place where a person recognizes that which is bigger than life, what's called. The source of the sechel. What makes it be, not what it is. This is why when the Rebbe says, in birth you give him an hashpah atzmis, because we see that the son understands on his own. He has his own sechel. He gave him a complete reality. Now he has an independent relationship to the source of sources. That's a real entity. Let's continue. I just wanted to satisfy that question I was left hanging.
And was also asked about how the Rav forms the cycle of the Talmud.
How what?
Means it for?
How
That
the
the
Rav
Rav forms the cycle of the
What
Talmud.
I'm saying.
forms. How the Rav makes forms.
Rav gives him of his sechel, and the Talmud, if he receives the sechel of Rav, then the Talmud is formed by the sechel of the Rav. The Rav, when he is mashpia the sechel, he has in mind that it's slapshus. He's slavish in the Talmud and tries to give it to him in a way that the Talmud will be able to accept it, to understand it. But ultimately, the Talmud accepts the sechel harav, and it's the sechel harav that makes the Talmud a bas sechel. This is what we said, that in Sanhedrin, a Rav and a Talmud have only one vote. They can have all express their arguments, but when it comes to a final vote, they have one vote, because it's all their own reality, one reality. Okay. Okay, at the end of that line, Bozeh. V'ha-talmid mekabel bozeh sechel misichel shohara. The Talmud receives in this hashpah a sechel from the sechel of the Rab. That means he's giving him a mahus sechel. This is how the Rab understands it. Again, how the Rab understands it on its fundamental level, on its reality level. V'zehu, and that explains also this is a phenomenal union, very subtle, and I hope it be followed. This is also explains Shehahashpohi, that the hashpoah of the Rav is bikiyuma, remains in place. Gam li'achar hefseg hashpoah. Even after the interruption, the break of the hashpoah, the Rav is no longer mashpia. And yet the hashpah, the effect, is there. Okay, it's a very big inyan over here, and I'd like to go through at least once, and then we'll revisit it again. The meaning hashpah b'kiyumo, the hashpah is in place. Li'achar hefseg hashpah, even after the hashpah per se is stopped, is interrupted. What does it mean? If it refers to what he told him, of course it's going to stay here. The Talmud now received it, and he knows what he told him. He remembers what he learned. That is not what we're referring to. Referring to the hashpah, the effect of the Rambam. Hashpah means the effect of the fact that he is mashpia. The effect of the hashpah remains there even after the hashpah per se is interrupted. Hefseg hashpah. And he said further, "V'gam an iver le'achar silug mashpia," even after the mashpia goes away. Why is that? What remains after that? That there is the hashpah, so to speak, the effect of the hashpah, the giving element remains there. Not only what was given, but the giving element is there. How is that? This is mipnei, because shemahuz ha'haora nimshozeh. Because the ha'ora is giving the mahus, is giving him a reality, a basis for this ha'ora. Al kain, therefore, gam afilu yachashem mistal gam mashpia, even after that the mashpia goes away, yochel le'ayin bozeh, the Talmud is able to delve into it. He can further delve into it. And he is able to find in this hashpah that remains with him. Hachayus, the hachayus means the inspiration. Shahoyoloi, which he had, at the time when he received the hashpah from mashpia. Isn't it an interesting thing? It's as if he is currently still receiving it from the mashpia, but the mashpia left already. And here the Rabbi puts it bluntly. The be'oir, well, in the case of the oir, harei there, behold, shemistaleg ha'etzem, when the source is taken away, mistaleg gam ha'haora, the ha'ora also goes away. Because all he gave him is a ha'ora of the etzem. And when the etzem goes away, there's nothing left. Or b'hashpah ha-sechel, and yet in hashpah of sechel, which is also only a ha'ora, but nishara ha-hashpah, the element of hashpah of giving remains. V'hainu, and that's it. Explain the reason. What this points to is lefi, due to the fact shemehuz ha'ora nimshach b'sechel. But even though it's a ha'ora, but this is not what the Rab gave him. He gave him the mehuz ha'ora, the basic, the reality behind this ha'ora. Therefore, the hashpah is a continuing phenomenon. He's still mashpia, even though the Rab is not there anymore, because he gave him a reality behind this ha'ora, and it still functions. It still affects him. He still feels that he is getting it from the Rab. Al came for this reason. Oh, so we already done. V'lachein, here's the crux. V'lachein, and therefore, Eifan ha'hashpah, this is very important. Eifan ha'hashpah, the method of this hashpah, he bibchinas his slapshut utfisa. The hashpah is given to him in a manner of his slapshus, of being completely engrossed in this. He's not giving him what he knows. He's giving him what he is currently living with Fisa, and he's actually grasped. The Rav is identified with this hashpah at this moment when he's mashpia. This is him. Mashpia nitvas bazeh. But the mashpia is nitvas bazeh, is grasped, is identified in this. And this hashpah, the fact that he's mashpia, the sechel, affects in the Rav a shinu, a change. And he spoils, and it has an effect on him. He actually experiences in this hashpah, he experiences not the sechel that is mashpia, the phenomenon that he is giving the sechel to somebody, to a talmid. That is part of his experience. Because this is mislabshus. He is mislabish in the whole phenomenon, not only in the sechel, but in this transmission of the sechel to the talmid. That's part of his slabshus. This is why the Rav is sensing. Did I give him the whole thing? Is it possible? And he says, what did the talmid get from this? He goes along with the talmid. Because he's giving his mislabish not only in the seichel that's given, he's mislabish in the transmission, in the relationship.